The plague came without warning, turning our village into a graveyard within 3 days. My friend Marcus was the first to fall. The fever took him so fast, I barely recognized the man I'd known since childhood. The village elder told me there was only one person who could help, a woman who lived beyond the cursed forest. They called her the Witch of Black Hollow. Some said she was ancient. Others claimed she wasn't human at all. She opened the door before I could knock, as if she'd been expecting me for years. She listened to my desperate plea without expression, her eyes studying me like I was some kind of puzzle she needed to solve. Then she spoke words that would haunt me forever. I have the cure, but the cost is steep, and the choice is yours alone. This vial can save one life, your friend Marcus. But if you choose him, the plague will consume everyone else in the village. Or you can save the village, all 200 souls. But Marcus will perish, and you'll watch him fade in front of your eyes. I felt my throat tighten. How could I choose between my brother in everything but blood and 200 innocent people? There has to be another way, I begged. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it, only ancient knowledge and terrible certainty. There is a third option, she whispered, but the price is far higher than you can imagine. She pulled out a third vial. The liquid inside swirled with darkness, like captured night itself, pulsing with an otherworldly glow. This vial can save both Marcus and the village. Every single life will be spared from the plague's grasp. But someone must pay the debt. Someone must take the plague into their own body and carry it forever. That someone would be you. You would become the vessel, alive but forever changed, forever marked by what you carry. I asked what that meant. She showed me her arm. Black veins crawled beneath pale skin, pulsing with something that wasn't quite alive. I made this choice 50 years ago, she said quietly. I saved my village, but I've been dying slowly ever since. You won't perish immediately, but you'll feel it every day, eating away at you, changing you from the inside out. And there's more. You can never return to your village. If you do, the plague awakens and spreads again, stronger than before. So I would save everyone I love, but never see them again. Never hear Marcus laugh. Never walk those familiar streets. The witch placed the 3 vials before me. Marcus has hours, not days. The village has perhaps until dawn.
Choose.
I thought of Marcus teaching me to fight when we were boys. His loyalty never wavering, even when everyone else abandoned me. I thought of the baker who gave me bread when I had nothing, the children who played in the square, the old woman who told stories by the fire. But then I looked at the third vial, dark and swirling, a prison I would carry in my own flesh. I asked her why she was helping me, why she would pass this burden to another soul. Because I'm tired, she said, and because 50 years ago, someone gave me this same choice. Now I pass it forward. This is how it works. One vessel dies, another must be chosen. The plague must always have a host. Then she told me something that changed everything. If no one takes the third vial, the plague spreads beyond this region, to neighboring kingdoms, to the entire realm. So it wasn't just my friend or my village. It was thousands, maybe tens of thousands, all resting on my shoulders. How do you measure one life against many? How do you value your own existence against the weight of the world? The witch left the room, giving me privacy for my final moments of freedom. My hand hovered over the vials. I picked up the dark vial. My fingers closed around cold glass, and I understood there was never really a choice at all. The witch returned and nodded, as if she'd known all along what I would choose. She prepared the ritual with practiced movements. She told me to drink when the moon reached its peak, that the transformation would be painful but necessary. Before I drank, she placed a hand on my shoulder. "You're braver than I was," she whispered. I waited 3 days before deciding. I lifted the vial to my lips. The liquid tasted like ash and iron, like swallowing darkness itself. Pain exploded through my body, every nerve screaming. I fell to my knees as something ancient entered my veins. I watched in horror as black lines spread beneath my skin, crawling up my arms like living shadows searching for my heart. Visions flooded my mind, thousands of faces, all the previous vessels, all the souls who made this choice before me. I could feel the plague now, not as a disease, but as a living thing, ancient, intelligent, and now bound to me. The witch spoke words in a language older than kingdoms. The air itself seemed to bend and twist around us. Then something miraculous happened. The black veins on her arms began to fade, slowly, like ink dissolving in water. After 50 years, she was finally free. The burden passed to me, and she could die in peace. In that moment, I felt it work. Across the distance, I sensed Marcus's fever breaking, the village beginning to heal. But the cost settled into my bones like ice. I would carry this weight until someone else chose to take my place. The witch gave me final instructions. Stay away from large crowds. Never let yourself bleed near others. And never, ever return home. If you do return, she warned, the plague recognizes home. It will burst free stronger than before and consume everything. Find purpose in your exile, she told me. Help others. That's how I survived 50 years without losing my mind. I gathered the supplies she offered. A cloak to hide my marks, herbs to dull the pain, and a compass pointing away from everything I loved. Before I left, I climbed the hill above Black Hollow. From there, I could see my village in the distance, smoke rising from chimneys, life continuing. I whispered a goodbye to Marcus, knowing he would wake tomorrow and wonder where I'd gone. He would never know what I sacrificed. I imagined him healthy again, laughing, living the life I had given him by giving up my own. Then I turned my back on home and walked into the wilderness, each step taking me further from everything I knew. The first days were the hardest. The plague writhed inside me like a caged beast, testing the limits of its new prison. Some nights, the pain was so intense I couldn't move. I would lie beneath the stars, feeling the darkness pulse through every fiber of my being. But slowly, I learned to live with it, to quiet the beast, to make peace with the thing I carried. I discovered something the witch hadn't mentioned. The plague gave me abilities. I could sense sickness in others from great distances. When I found a dying child in a remote hamlet, I realized I could draw out lesser illnesses, take them into myself temporarily. The witch was right. Purpose kept me sane. I became a wandering healer, anonymous, always moving, never staying. Months became a year. I grew stronger, but also more isolated. The marks on my skin spread further, impossible to fully conceal. People began telling stories about a marked stranger who appeared when plague threatened. Some called me a guardian, others a curse. On quiet nights, I would think of Marcus, wonder if he ever searched for me, if he understood why I vanished. The temptation to return was overwhelming sometimes. Just to see him once, to know he was truly alive and well. But I remembered the witch's warning. If I crossed that threshold, Everything I sacrificed would mean nothing. They would all perish. Then one day, I met another like me, an old man marked with the same dark veins. He had carried the burden for 30 years. We didn't speak much. We didn't need to. He understood the weight, the loneliness, the endless walking. He told me there were others, dozens scattered across the realm, all vessels, all exiles, all carrying pieces of ancient plagues. There was a network, he explained, safe houses, messages left in specific places, a community of the cursed. He offered to take me to them, to show me I wasn't alone. But something in me resisted. I wasn't ready to accept this permanent exile. Before he left, he warned me, the isolation will break you eventually. Find others like us, or find peace with what you are. On the anniversary of my choice, I stood on a mountain peak. Below, the world continued. Above, the stars remained indifferent. I realized then that I had become something else. Not quite human anymore, not quite monster. Something in between. Was I a hero for what I did? Or was I just a man too afraid to make a different choice? I would never know, but Marcus lived. The village thrived. And somewhere in that, there had to be meaning. So I kept walking, one foot in front of the other, carrying my burden through an endless landscape of mountains and forests. The stories about me grew, the marked wanderer, the plague bearer, the shadow who heals. I saved dozens, maybe hundreds, each life a small redemption for the one I could never live myself. Five years passed. The plague inside me grew quieter, but never silent. My body aged faster than it should. Then I heard news that shattered my carefully built isolation. Marcus was searching for me. He had never stopped looking. He had traveled to every corner of the realm, following rumors of a marked healer. He was close, too close. I ran, further than I'd ever gone, to the edges of civilization where mountains touched the sky. But Marcus was relentless. He found me in a forgotten valley, surrounded by snow and silence. When he saw me, truly saw the marks covering my skin, he understood everything. His face crumbled. He tried to embrace me, but I stepped back. I couldn't risk it, not even for him. I told him everything, the choice, the witch, the plague I carried, why I could never come home. He wept, not for himself, but for me, for the sacrifice I made, for the life I gave up so he could live. He told me he got married, had a daughter, named her after my mother. He wanted me to know my sacrifice wasn't wasted. For the first time in 5 years, I felt something other than the plague. I felt joy, brief, painful, but real. Marcus made me promise to keep living, to keep saving people, to make every year of isolation count. He left me with one last gift, a letter from the entire village, hundreds of names thanking the stranger who saved them. Then he walked away, and I let him, because love sometimes means staying apart. More years passed. The marked wanderer became legend, and the legend became myth. I learned something the witch never told me. The plague doesn't just take, it also preserves. I aged, but slowly. I would live longer than normal men, long enough to see generations pass, long enough to become a story grandmothers tell. And somewhere along the way, I stopped mourning what I lost. I started embracing what I became. I was the shield between plague and humanity. The price was high, but the purpose was clear. Marcus's daughter grew up, had children of her own. They never knew the marked man who gave their ancestor a future. I continued walking, saving those I could, carrying my burden through decades that blurred into one long twilight. People sometimes ask if I regret my choice, if I would do it again. The truth is, I never really had a choice. Not when I understood the stakes, not when I saw what was at risk. The witch knew that. That's why she offered the third option, not as a choice, but as a test of character. And maybe that's what heroes really are. Not people who want to sacrifice, but people who do it anyway when there's no other way. So I keep walking, the marked wanderer, the plague bearer, the man who chose to save everyone by losing himself.